Continuing on to episode 2, Seiya attempted to reaffirm his powers by reading people's minds at the station. In doing so, Esuzu hoped that Seiya could believe her story. The nobles of Maple Land could bestow magic upon commoners through kisses. Seiya just learned that the manager he met yesterday was a noble. Suddenly, Esuzu asked Seiya to use his magic to read her mind. In her heart, Esuzu informed him that there was a record of someone who had the same magic in the past. However, that person could only use it once on someone. Seiya realized that he wouldn't be able to use his powers on Esuzu again. He was trapped. What was clear was that Seiya was given that power in order to manage Amaburi. After school, Esuzu invited Seiya to the park again. If he refused, Esuzu would threaten him with her gun once more. Meanwhile, at Amaburi, Moffel was visiting Latefa in her castle. For some reason, Latefa referred to Moffel as uncle. Moffel wanted to inquire about Seiya, who had come yesterday. Latefa had already met him, but Seiya had fainted during the magic power bestowing ritual. Latefa felt that the current situation would change if Seiya joined them. Near the entrance gate, two young visitors were playing with two mascots there, Macaron and Tirami. However, the way the children played with them involved hitting the two mascots. Afterward, Macaron and Tirami immediately looked for massage chairs to relax their bodies. Tirami was really annoyed with the kids earlier. However, according to Macaron, they had to be patient to survive in the entertainment world. Then, Moffel approached them with a gloomy face. He said he still couldn't accept the kid Esuzu had brought yesterday. After that, the four fairies also arrived to greet them. The four of them continued to behave as usual. Now Seiya and Esuzu were on a bus for their journey to Amaburi. Seiya still had many questions in his mind. First of all, he wanted to know what Maple Land really was. Esuzu answered that Maple Land was a magical kingdom located between the mainland and the sea. Latefa was its first princess. Seiya recalled the strange words from Latefa about her people losing their purpose in life. Esuzu confirmed that what was meant was likely animus. Animus was the crystallization of the joy of the guests who came to the park. It served as their energy to survive. Amaburi was a facility for collecting animus. More precisely, they referred to the facility as Argel. In other words, the life or death of the park was synonymous with the life or death of Maple Land's people. Esuzu mentioned that Urayasu Digimon and Highland Fujimi were also Argel. There were other magical kingdoms in this world, and they each built their own Argel. Without animus, the magical kingdoms would lose their power. If they lost their power, their existence would also disappear. Upon reaching the entrance gate, Esuzu was greeted by a gatekeeper wearing a peculiar mask. It turned out that this person was a regular human, not a citizen of Maple Land. Not only him, Esuzu explained that there were many regular humans working here. By the way, they entered Amaburi through the employee dormitory. Esuzu also lived in that dormitory. Today, Esuzu wanted Seiya to come to the administrative office. As soon as they entered the office, Seiya immediately got into an argument with Moffel again. Esuzu asked him to hurry up. Soon, he would meet their enemy. In the office, Seiya and Esuzu met a group of people in a meeting room. They were from the Image Development Group. One of them was named Kurisu Takaya. Esuzu made up a story that Seiya was an intern here. She also explained that Latefa, the manager, couldn't attend due to feeling unwell. Esuzu would be temporarily taking Latefa's position. During the meeting, Takaya once again reminded them of their agreement regarding the annual visitor count, which was calculated every early August. The rights to the park would be handed over to the Image Development Group if they couldn't reach 500,000 visitors within 5 years. In the past 4 years, only 250,000 visitors were recorded. Currently, it was the first week of May, which meant that Amaburi had less than 3 months left. Because of that, Takaya wondered why the park wasn't in better shape, even though it's about to close. Esuzu replied that they still believed they could reach 500,000 visitors. Takaya found that impossible. For example, if a family of 4 visited Amaburi, based on last year's visitor count, in order for the park not to close, that family would have to spend a lot of money in one day at the park. Takaya was still calculating it with a calculator. Meanwhile, Seiya could immediately guess the amount, which was 85,000 yen. Takaya was surprised because his answer was almost correct. The correct amount was 83,200 yen. Even though it seemed impossible, Takaya hoped for 250,000 native visitors to come to the park. After the meeting, Isuzu asked how Seiya could guess the number earlier. It turned out that Seiya relied on quick calculations based on yesterday's visitors and the park's size. He said it was a mental game called Fermi estimation. Setting that aside, Seiya was curious about why Isuzu introduced him to the Image Development Group. Isuzu wanted to introduce Seiya to her future adversary as a manager. Seiya couldn't understand why Isuzu still thought he would agree to become the manager. His free time had been taken away, he was threatened with a gun, but Isuzu still dared to ask for his help shamelessly. Isuzu actually felt guilty about it too. However, she still wasn't accustomed to this world. She didn't know how to ask for help from humans on Earth. Even so, Seiya wondered why they didn't just seek help from a management consultant. It turns out they had tried that, but everything fell through. Seiya still didn't care and just wanted to go home. Despite her efforts, Isuzu couldn't persuade him. At the bus stop just outside Amaburi, Seiya encountered Takaya once again. Suddenly, Takaya grew suspicious of Seiya and approached him. Upon closer inspection, Takaya seemed to realize that Seiya was Kodama Seiya. He didn't expect a big celebrity like him to intern at this rundown park. Takaya warned him not to associate with the losers in this place. Afterward, he left in his chauffeured car. Seiya then returned to the bench to wait for the bus. He noticed that the edges of the bench were made dull to prevent children from getting hurt. Additionally, the backrest of the bench was decorated with cute drawings to attract attention. It reminded Seiya of Latifah's delicious croquettes. According to Seiya, the park prioritized the wrong things. Instead of focusing on benches or croquettes, they should pay more attention to the park's appearance first. When the bus arrived, Seiya decided not to board it and instead returned to the park. He went straight to the castle where Latifah was located. On the castle roof, the citizens of Maple Land were gathering. They had a premonition that Princess Latifah would announce bad news. Shortly after that, Isuzu went to the balcony to inform them of Princess Latifah's arrival. As they suspected, Latifah had bad news to deliver. Image Brilliant Park would be closed in 3 months. However, Latifah promised to try to find them new jobs. Suddenly, a pessimistic crocodile mascot interrupted Latifah's idea. The popularity of that mascot was almost at zero, making it difficult to find a new job. People would soon forget it, and it would disappear. Moffel approached the crocodile mascot to console it, but it didn't appreciate Moffel's efforts. It invited Moffel, who was a prominent mascot, making it easy for him to move to another park. Both of them were offended, leading to an argument. Fortunately, Macaron reminded them not to fight in front of Princess Latifah. Princess Latifah was the one most hurt right now. After explaining, Princess Latifah apologized for her inability. After merely observing all this time, Seiya finally made his presence known. He stated that it was too early for apologies. They all must have been surprised by Seiya's appearance. Afterward, Seiya began to berate the incompetence of the citizens of Maple Land in managing the park. Seiya even remembered that the Image Development Group had said that only fools would come to this place, and Seiya felt that it was true. The citizens of Maple Land seemed very angry at Seiya's words. However, Latifah asked him to also come up to the balcony. Upon ascending, Seiya introduced himself. He already knew that they probably hated him. Seiya didn't care even if he was disliked. This was how he would manage the park. However, anyone who didn't follow him would be fired. Nevertheless, Seiya declared that the kid they hated would work miracles in 3 months. On that evening, Seiya informed Latifah and Isuzu that his earlier remarks were just an act. He deliberately made them angry. When Seiya called the park visitors foolish, everyone was genuinely furious. This meant that they were still taking their job seriously. Seiya emphasized that he would only help for 3 months. After that, he would leave. Nevertheless, Seiya warned them to prepare for the worst-case scenario. His speech about miracles was also just for show. If they wanted the citizens to put in effort, it was better for them to believe in hope. Afterward, Seiya went to the administrative office and requested the necessary documents from Isuzu. Meanwhile, Moffel was currently at a bar. He ordered beer and cold tomatoes as if he were a regular customer. Then, Moffel entered a private room where Macaron and Tirami were already present. Apparently, their mascot-shaped bodies could be disguised using an amulet. With the amulet, no one would realize their true identities. Moffel was still annoyed with Seiya. However, Macaron and Tirami advised him to see how Seiya performed first. The next morning, there was an announcement posted at the entrance gate. It stated that the park was closed because all employees had to clean the park. Moffel became even more frustrated because he didn't understand Seiya's intentions.